Hello everyone, welcome back to online lecture series on heat transfer. We are continuing our topic of steady state heat conduction. So let's begin. First of all, we will do a quick revision of what we have done in our previous lecture. So in our previous lecture we started with conduction through a multi-layer cylindrical valve. So it is this case in which we wrote down the formula for Q, and then we obtained the overall temperature difference, and from that we can obtain the heat flow rate through a composite wall, which is given by this formula. In the next case it is the same thing, however now we are considering the hot fluid film and cold fluid film, where the heat transfer is primarily governed by a Newton-Raphman law, that is convection. And we also wrote down the formulas for resistance, and we obtained the heat flow rate in this case. And then we introduced a concept of overall heat transfer coefficient for this case. And here in case of cylinders, the flow area varies for a cylindrical tube, so we can write down the overall heat transfer coefficient based on the inner area as well as based on the outer area, and we obtained these two formulas. The next theory was conduction through a sphere. So here in this case we began with a general heat conduction equation in spherical coordinates, that is this, and we applied some conditions like steady state, unidirectional heat flow in radial direction with no internal heat generation. So we simplified that formula, and with further integration we obtained the temperature distribution, which is hyperbolic, and from based on that we also obtained the value of heat transfer rate. There are a few things that I gave you in self-study, that is geometric mean area, geometric mean radius, equation of heat flow rate for spherical composites, and equation of heat flow rate for composite sphere with consideration of inner and outer convective film coefficient. So I hope that you have completed this part by yourself. Now the next part is next topic was effect of variable thermal conductivity, and here it is given by this formula. It is given by this formula, that is K is equal to K0 1 plus beta T. That is already we have studied this in our introduction part, where K0 is thermal conductivity at 0 degrees centigrade. Now beta can be positive or negative. So first of all we tried to calculate the value of Q based on this equation, and we obtained the value of Q in this way, where Km is the mean thermal conductivity evaluated at arithmetic mean temperature. Then we took different cases in which so here we considered first Fourier's law of heat conduction, and we put a condition that here k into dt by dx must be constant for making q upon a as a constant. So here we took different cases, beta equal to 0, beta greater than 0 and beta less than 0, and maintaining this term constant we can obtain the temperature profile for variable thermal conductivity. Now the next topic was critical thickness of insulation. So we have only done half portion of this theory, so we will continue from here and then we will move forward with our new chapter. Here generally it is believed that the insulation always increases the thermal resistance. However, this is not the case every time. In case of cylinders or spheres, there can be a decrease in thermal resistance with increase in insulation, that we will prove in this theory. So for this case, we have written with the application with this assumptions, we can write down this heat flow in which the denominator, this denominator is the sum of thermal resistance to the flow. And here if you observe, R is present over here as well as R is present over here. So if this value, this total is thermal resistance, then with increase of R, the second term increases, however the third term decreases. So we cannot confirm that what will be the overall effect of increase in radius for thermal resistance. To obtain that effect, we need to differentiate thermal resistance with respect to R. So by differentiation we obtain that the value of R is equal to K divided by H0. So this is the optimum value. However, still we don't know that if this value will increase or decrease the thermal resistance. So to obtain this, we need to differentiate it for second time, and then we need to put the value of R as K divided by H0. So here we are getting this value which is positive. Why it is positive? Because all terms on the right hand side are positive. That's why it is positive. So if the second derivative is positive, that means the thermal resistance RT at R is equal to K upon H0 is minimum. So at this location, the insulation provides minimum thermal resistance to the heat flow. That means at R equal to K upon H0, there will be a maximum heat transfer rate. So the insulation radius at which the resistance to heat flow is minimum is called critical thickness. And critical thickness is designated on with RC, which depends only on K and H0. So R is equal to RC is equal to K divided by H0. So here, from here onwards, we need to go in detail here, that consider that the existing pipe radius is this, that is Ri. Okay, this is our existing radius. So here Ri, in this figure, Ri is less than Rc. So here when Ri is less than Rc, the addition of insulation to bare pipe leads to increase in heat transfer until the outer radius equals to the critical radius. So here on the x-axis we are having radius and on the y-axis we are having heat flow rate Q. So if we increase the radius from Ri, then the heat flow rate will keep on increasing. This is already proved mathematically in our previous slide. So this will keep on increasing and heat flow rate will reach its maximum value over here, that is at the critical radius Rc. Okay. This may be attributed to a fact that in the range Ri less than Rc, the progressive decrease in the convective resistance predominates over corresponding increase in the conduction resistance. Okay. So here, to understand this part, let me write down the full equation. The full equation was the resistance RT is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi Ri L Hi. This is not very important to us right now because this is independent of R, plus 1 divided by 2 pi KL Ln R upon Ri, plus 1 upon 2 pi R HL HOL. Okay, so if you again see what is going to happen here, that here the heat transfer rate is increasing and the thermal resistance is decreasing. So here, as R is increasing, the decrease in this parameter is far more than the increase in this parameter. So this is much less in comparison with this decrease. So the decrease is more than the increase. That's why the net effect is decrease in thermal resistance RT. Okay. So let me erase this part. Oops. So here any further increase in insulation thickness causes the heat loss to decrease from this peak. However, so here you can see that heat flow rate is decreasing, that is thermal resistance is increasing in this case. However, until a certain amount of insulation R star is added, still the heat loss is greater than the bare pipe. So here, even though we are having this much of insulation, it does not make any sense in comparison with the bare pipe. So if we add beyond this, then and then the insulation will work according to its name. So this is the only region from where we are getting the effect of insulation. Now into the second figure, where here as you can see that the inside radius, this inner radius, pipe radius is already greater than the critical radius. Okay, so here the heat flow rate is decreasing with further increase in radius of insulation. So the effect of wall thickness dominates over the, and the overall thermal resistance here increases. Now I have given you one more topic in self study, that is critical thickness of insulation for a sphere, and it is quite easy to do. It is only some easy mathematics. So this is our end of steady state heat conduction. Now we are beginning our new chapter or new topic, which is transient heat conduction. So let's begin. So the meaning of transient is unsteady. So the previous chapter was steady state heat conduction. So this entire chapter will be unsteady state heat conduction. First we will see the introduction part. So here the conduction of heat in unsteady state refers to the transient conditions, wherein the heat and temperature, the value of heat and temperature distribution vary continuously with the time. So it varies continuously with the time. Okay. Here the temperature and the rate of heat conduction both are dependent on space and time. So here we can say that now the temperature is function of x, y, z as well as tau. So the transient heat conduction occurs in, there are few examples. First is heating or cooling of metal billets. Second, cooling of IC engine cylinder. Second is cooling of cylinder of IC engine. Third is cooling and freezing of food. And fourth is brick burning and vulcanization of rubber. So, and fifth is starting and stopping of various heat exchange devices in power installation. So these are some examples of transient heat conductions. Now the change in temperature during an unsteady state may follow a periodic or non-periodic variation. Again, here it can be a periodic variation in temperature or non-periodic variation in temperature. We will see them one by one in detail. First we will discuss about periodic variation. Here the temperature changes in repeated cycles, and the condition get repeated after some fixed time interval. Let us take one example, that temperature variation in cylinder of IC engine is considered to be a periodic. Why? Because during each cycle a definite variation in temperature occurs with respect to a crank angle, and this change continues as long as the engine continues to operate. So as IC engine is operating in 4 different strokes, during each stroke. So as the IC engine is working continuously on this 4 strokes, so temperature profile will be periodic, because periodic variations are observed. The profile of temperature variation with crank angle for one cycle is called as temperature wave. So during one cycle we will see a complete variation in temperature profile, and this complete profile is called as temperature wave, and duration of each temperature wave is called as period. Okay, so this is an example of periodic variation. And other examples of periodic variation are variation of temperature of building during a full day period of 24 hours. So this is easily understood, that let us say we are having a building in which if we measure the temperature of this building during 24 hours, then we will be getting a complete temperature wave, and during next day also the same temperature profile will be observed in a repeated cycles. So this is an example of periodic variation. Next is temperature variation in a surface of earth during a period of 24 hours. So this is also very similar to a case of building. And third example is heat processing of regenerators. Heat processing of regenerators whose packings are alternatively heated by flue gases and cooled by air. So this is all about periodic variation. Now the next type of variation is non-periodic variation. Here the temperature changes as some non-linear function of time. So it is not in a repeated cycle. This variation is neither according to any definite pattern nor it is in repeated cycles. Examples of non-periodic variation are heating of ingot in a furnace, cooling of bars, blanks and metal billets in steel works, and here the time dependent effect occurs in many industrial heating, cooling or drying process. An increase or decrease in temperature at any instant continues until steady state temperature distribution is attained. So this variation in temperature will keep on happening until we achieve steady state temperature distribution. For example, there are few examples on this, that is quenching of a steel. There occurs a gradual decrease in temperature of steel rod until the rod and quenching medium attain the same temperature. So even if we need to take a household example, then if we take a piece of ice and we immediately put it in a normal temperature water, then this cooling will also be a non-periodic one. Now our main theory of this chapter is transient heat conduction in solids with infinite thermal conductivity, that is K tends to infinity, and this theory is also known as lump parameter analysis. So let's begin. Now here, if you see this title, here we have considered infinite thermal conductivity, that is K tends to infinity. So let's see. Solutions to many of the transient heat flow problems are obtained by lump parameter analysis, which presumes that the solid possesses infinitely large thermal conductivity. Okay, so this will be our primary assumption in this analysis. Now, internal conduction resistance is so low that the heat flow from or to the solid is controlled primarily by a convection resistance. So let me tell you that here generally the thermal resistance R is of two things. First is conduction plus second is convection. Okay, and suppose so the thermal resistance is of two things, conduction and convection. And if you recall, R conduction is equal to delta upon Ka. So if the thermal conductivity is infinite, then implies that R conduction is approximately 0. So the whole resistance is through only R convection. So that is the meaning of this statement here, that internal conduction resistance is so small that the heat flow from or to the solid is controlled primarily by convection resistance. And the temperature gradient are negligible within the solid. Why temperature gradients are negligible within the solid? Let us consider this to be a solid. Okay, and if K tends to infinity, then there is no thermal resistance present inside this metal. So what will happen? Whatever temperature is over here, the same temperature will be observed everywhere, because as there is no thermal resistance inside this metal, the temperature will not decrease, it will remain as it is. That's why we will have negligible temperature gradient. Now here, because it is fully same temperature, so the temperature now does not depend on space coordinates, because temperature is constant throughout the space in a solid with infinite thermal conductivity. So now the temperature is only function of time. Typical examples are cooling of a small metal casting or a billet in a quenching bath after the removal from furnace. And the second is heating or cooling of a fine thermocouple wire due to change in ambient temperature. Now we will focus on this figure first. Here, consider this to be a hot metal forging which is initially at Ti temperature. Here it is written, the boundary conditions are shown here, that at T is equal to T0, the temperature is Ti. And here this hot metal forging is kept inside a liquid which is at Ta temperature. And if we analyze this portion, that is the metal part, and here obviously we are assuming K tends to infinity. So there will be a heat transfer from this metal to liquid, and here the second boundary condition is written as when T is greater than 0, the temperature is function of time. So here E out, that is energy out, is equal to only Q convection, is equal to HA T minus TA. TA is the liquid temperature, and which is equal to minus rho Vc dt by d tau. I will explain this formula separately. And this is a control surface. So now a body of surface area capital A, volume capital V, density rho, thermal conductivity K, specific heat C, and initial temperature Ti has been exposed to surroundings maintained at temperature Ta. Now the transient response of the solid can be determined by relating its rate of change of internal energy with convective heat exchange at the surface, which is given by this formula. Now here the change in internal energy, this term is given by m c delta T. If you recall, the density rho is equal to mass upon volume. So here m is equal to rho v. So in this form it is rho v c, and temperature is dependent on time, so it will be dt over d tau. So now it is shown over here as well as it is here also, okay, which is equal to convective heat transfer, that is HA T minus TA. Now here what we have done to explain you here, okay, I will write down over here that here it is dt over T minus TA, that is we have taken all temperature terms together, and here is equal to minus HA upon rho Vc, and here we have kept d tau. There is a typing mistake here, so this is tau. Okay, I will edit this. This is d tau. So we have integrated these terms, and the integration provides us ln T minus TA is equal to minus HA rho Vc tau plus C1, where C1 is constant of integration. Now the integration constant C1 is evaluated from the boundary conditions T is equal to Ti when tau is equal to 0, and here Ti symbolizes the body temperature at commencement of cooling or heating process. Therefore, we can write down C1 is equal to ln Ti minus Ta. If you go to our previous equation and put value of T is equal to Ti at tau is equal to 0, you will easily obtain the value of C1, that is constant of integration. So after putting the value of C1, we are obtaining this formula, and further mathematical simplification will provide us these values. So here we have obtained the temperature profile for transient heat conduction when K tends to infinity, which is T minus Ta divided by Ti minus Ta is equal to exp of minus Ha by rho Vc into tau. Now we are going to discuss few important points on this. First is the body temperature falls based on, as in this expression we are having exponential function, the body temperature falls or rises exponentially with the time, and this rate depends on the parameter HA upon rho Vc. In this entire chapter this term will be very important, which is HA upon rho Vc. Theoretically, the body takes an infinite time to approach the temperature of surrounding and thus attains a steady state conditions. So the behavior of exponential function is such a way that to reach the exact value it will take the infinite amount of time. However, in reality, the difference between T and TA, that is the difference between the metal body and the environmental temperature, becomes extremely small after a short time interval, and beyond that point, beyond that period, the body temperature is practically equal to the ambient temperature. And now these are the graphs of heating and cooling. So these are the temperature profiles. The change in temperature of a body with respect to time is shown in the figure for both heating as well as cooling. So here, if you see carefully, let me first write down this. Tg is gas temperature. Which is higher than the body temperature. Here it is written that the body is exposed to a gas temperature Tg which is higher than the body temperature Ti, and in cooling the body is placed in a liquid with temperature TL. So here TL is the liquid temperature, which is lower than the body temperature. So let's focus on this figure. So here on the first we will focus on heating of the body when K tends to infinity. So on the y-axis we are having temperature profile, and on the x-axis we are having the time. Now if you see carefully, here we have put the metal in the environment which is at higher temperature, that is the gas temperature. So we have put metal in the gas. So that's why the temperature of our body will keep on increasing. So the formula is like this. Here the temperature profile is given by T minus Tg divided by Ti minus Tg. So here, based on our exponential behavior, we are observing this kind of curve. And the higher the value of HA upon rho Vc, the higher will be the temperature. Because if you see, the arrow shows that the values of HA upon rho Vc are increasing, and that's why we are observing the greater increase in the temperature here. So now, the second figure is cooling, in which the liquid temperature is lower than the metal temperature or body temperature. So here exactly a reverse kind of curve is observed here. Now the quantity rho Vc upon HA. If you see, we have reversed this HA upon rho Vc. So now we are discussing about rho Vc upon HA. This has dimensions of time, so you can check it by yourself by putting all the values of dimensions. The final value of this will be time. So this is some form of time, and it is called as thermal time constant. its value is indicative of the rate of response of a system to a sudden change in the environmental temperature. To repeat, the thermal time constant is an indicative of the rate of response of a system to a sudden change in the environmental temperature. How fast the body will respond to the change in the environmental temperature, that is determined with the help of thermal time constant. Now here there is one comparison that we are going to do, that the lump system analysis can be visualized as an electrical analogy in terms of RC circuit, that is also known as resistance capacitance circuit, and the process of heating or cooling as charging and discharging of capacitor. So we will try to understand this. First of all, let us focus on this figure. Here in this electrical circuit, we are having battery switch is provided, which controls the flow of electrons or current. Here we have provided a capacitor, and here we are having a resistance. So we will try to have an analogy of this circuit with our lump system. So if you recall, our formula is rho V C divided by HA. Here if you see, we can separate these two terms, that is rho Vc multiplied by 1 divided by HA. So the first is thermal capacitance and second is the resistance to convective heat transfer. Now why it is resistance to convective heat transfer? If you recall, Q is equal to HA delta T. So Q can be written as delta T divided by 1 divided by HA. So based on this formula, this is the temperature difference, and here we are having, this will be the resistance. So as this is formula for convection heat transfer, we are getting this as thermal resistance, which is convective resistance. That's why 1 upon HA is resistance to convective heat transfer. Now here in this case, when the switch S is closed, the solid is charged with high temperature potential, and on opening this switch, so first when we close the switch, this gets charged, and when we open this switch, this energy which was stored over here is dissipated through this thermal resistance, and the temperature of body decays with the time. So this acts as rho Vc and this acts as 1 upon HA. Now we will discuss about the dimensionless argument of exponential. So here, if you focus on HA upon rho Vc into tau, so here we are making some modifications. Let me put it over here, that HA upon rho Vc is equal to, let us say that here we are keeping H as it is, here A is as it is, so we are putting additional A over here, and here we are squaring it. So H is as it is, and here here already we are having a V which is available here, but instead of that we are providing V here, so we are squaring it. So HV, and here we are putting a K, that is thermal conductivity, and we are also multiplying over here. Now C is as it is and rho is as it is. So here this term, that is volume upon area, is known as characteristic length, which is given by HL divided by K, and the remaining terms are A square K divided by rho V square C, and I haven't mentioned tau over here, so these are as it is, and we can put tau at the end. So this is known as V by A is replaced with L here, and here instead of V square by A square by V square, which is present here in this term, here here it is A square upon V square, so instead of that we can write down 1 divided by L square, that is over here, and instead of K by rho C we have put alpha, which is thermal diffusivity. So it may look slightly complicated at this moment. So to further simplify for you people, here what we have done, you need to remember that V, that is volume upon area, is taken as characteristic length, and instead of K by rho C we can put alpha. If you remember these two equations and you multiply and divide with some quantities, then you will be able to get these values. Okay, and here alpha is equal to K by rho C, which is thermal diffusivity of solid, and L is characteristic length, which is equal to ratio of volume of solid to surface area. Now we will calculate the characteristic length for simple geometric shapes. So for sphere, L is volume is 4 by 3 pi r cube, and surface area is given by 4 pi r square, so it is r by 3. Then for cylinder, the volume is pi r square L and the surface area is 2 pi r L, so the characteristic length is r by 2. In case of a cube, the volume is L cube and the surface area is 6 r square, so the characteristic length is L by 6. Now here the non-dimensional factor alpha, so here FO, the name of the parameter is Fourier's number, which is given by alpha tau divided by L square, and it signifies the degree of penetration of heating or cooling effect through a solid. For instance, how large value of tau will be required, so this is constant, so large amount of time will be required to obtain significant change for small value of alpha by L square. So if alpha by L square is less, then tau will be higher, and vice versa. And the second non-dimensional term, which is Bi, is equal to HL by K, is known as Biot's number, and it is the indication of ratio of internal resistance to surface resistance. So here if we can also put it in this way, 1 upon K over 1 upon HL. So I am not going into detail right now, but this 1 upon K is regarding the conduction resistance, and 1 upon HL is indicates the convection resistance. So it is the indication of ratio of internal resistance to the surface resistance. A small value of Bi, that is Biot number, implies that the system has small conduction resistance. So here, if Bi is small, then 1 upon K is small, so the conduction resistance is small. That is the relative smaller temperature gradient or existence of practically uniform temperature within the system. This indicates the condition of K tends to infinitive. So if K tends to infinitive, this numerator will be very less, and in such case the convective resistance predominates and convective heat exchange controls the transient phenomena. This is all related to our lump parameter analysis. Now here we can write down the temperature distribution in these two constants, Bi and Fo, and now we will calculate the instantaneous heat flow rate. So here we are applying this formula mc delta T, in which instead of T we are putting the temperature profile, which is given by this formula. After the differentiation we will be getting this formula. So this is our final equation of instantaneous heat flow rate. So it is simple mathematics, you can do it by yourself. Now next is total heat flow rate, which is given by integrating the equation over the time interval tau equal to 0 to tau equal to tau. So here Q total is integration of instantaneous heat transfer with the integration limits of 0 to tau. So first of all we are putting this formula, and then we are integrating it. So these are very easy mathematical steps. So I will suggest you to do this portion, to do this entire portion by yourself. It is simple mathematical integration, and we can also write down this in non-dimensional Biot number and Fourier's number in this way. Now our next theory is time constant and response of a thermocouple. Now you might have studied about thermocouples, but still we are revising the definition of thermocouple, that when two dissimilar metals are joined together at 2 points to form a closed loop, and if the temperature difference exists between the junctions, an electrical potential is set up between the junctions. Such arrangement is known as thermocouple, and it is frequently used for measurement of temperature. So if you recall, suppose we are having this metal and we are having another metal like this. So we have generated two junctions, let us say junction A, and here we are having junction B. So if both junctions are at different temperature, then electrical potential will be set up, and such kind of arrangement is known as thermocouple. Now the response of thermocouple is defined as the time required for thermocouple to reach the source temperature when it is exposed to it. So whenever we are putting a thermocouple in some unknown environment, then the time which is required for that thermocouple to reach that unknown environmental temperature is known as response of thermocouple. So here we will continue from this formula, which is temperature profile in case of transient heat conduction. Here it is evident that the larger the value of HA upon rho Vc, the larger the value of HA upon rho Vc, the faster the exponential term will reach to 0. Why? Because we are having a negative sign. So higher this value, the exponential term will reach fastly to the 0, or more rapid will be the response of thermocouple. And a large value of HA upon rho Vc can be obtained by increasing the convection coefficient, that is H, or by decreasing the wire diameter. Why? Because here To increase this, we need to reduce the diameter because the term is A upon V, which is ultimately going to 1 upon D. So if we increase D, then HA upon rho VC will decrease. Here we can decrease the density as well as specific heat also. Now the next is sensitivity of thermocouple. It is defined as the time required by thermocouple to reach 63.2% of steady state value. So when such condition is attained, so this is our standard formula for temperature profile. So when we are reaching the 63.2% of steady state, the meaning is that we are getting this value, that is 1 minus 0.632. So we are only remaining with 36.8%. So you can think this is as a downloading any file from internet, that if we have already achieved 63.2% of our file size, then we are only left with 0.638, that is 36.8%, and it is equal to exponential of -1. So here when we compare this with this, then we can say that HA upon rho VC into tau is equal to 1. So the value of tau is equal to rho VC upon HA. And here this is known as tau star, which we already discussed in previous slide. This is called as time constant, and here this rho VC upon HA is further modified with this equation. So let me do it over here, that let us say we are having rho VC upon HA, and we multiply and divide this with K. So what will happen? This K rho C K by rho C will provide us 1 upon alpha. If you see K divided by rho into C, here we already have V, we have K, and in the denominator we have HA. So the same thing is available here also. Okay, so we have simply multiplied and divided with K. And now we can write down this formula with tau star, which is our time constant. And time constant is indicative of speed of response, that how fast a thermocouple tends to reach the steady state value. A large time constant corresponds to slow system response and vice versa. Now our objective is to obtain low value of time constant, which is achieved by decreasing the wire diameter. That is, you can focus on this equation, that by decreasing the wire diameter we can have lower time constant. Then using light metal, that is reducing the density, and low specific heat, that is reducing C, or increasing the heat transfer coefficient, which is in denominator in this equation. Now our last theory is transient heat conduction in solids with finite conduction and convection resistance. So here, if we focus on this figure, here we are having this wall in which the surrounding is at temperature TA. Initially this wall is at temperature Ti, and we have taken this as a reference. So the total thickness is 2 delta, and it is the length is infinite in other directions. So consider the heating or cooling of a plane wall which is of thickness 2 delta, extending to infinity in y and z direction. So only finite length is observed in x direction here. Now initially the wall is at uniform temperature Ti, and suddenly both surfaces, that is, this is known as x equal to minus delta, and here x is equal to plus delta. Okay, so sorry, here I have written plus or minus. At x equal to plus delta. So both are exposed to environmental temperature TA. So the controlling differentiation equation here is this. Okay, if you recall, this is our very simple equation of one-dimensional heat conduction, and here we will be putting some boundary conditions like at tau equal to 0, that initially this wall is at temperature Ti. Second is dt by dx is equal to 0 at x equal to 0 due to symmetry. So at this location at x equal to 0, we are having dt by dx is equal to 0, so temperature is constant. And the last one is the conduction heat flow rate is equal to convection heat flow rate at x equal to plus or minus delta. So at this phase as well as at this phase, the conduction heat transfer rate is equal to convection heat transfer rate. So when we apply these boundary conditions on this differential equation, we will be getting this temperature profile, that T minus TA divided by Ti minus Ta is function of x upon L, HL by K, and alpha tau by L square. So as you already know, this is Biot's number and this is Fourier's number. So what is x upon L? X upon L indicates the position of a point at which we need to measure the temperature. So let us say that this is total L, and if we need to measure at particular point, then this is the value of x. Now to go into further on this, there are some charts which are used for obtaining the temperature and heat flow rate subsequently. So I would suggest you to go into our prescribed reference books, in which you will find various graphs regarding this theory. So that is self-study for this topic. Okay, so here let me write down over it. There are some graphs that you need to study based on this. Okay, so this is part of your self-study. So this is the end of today's lecture, and as well as here this is the end of transient heat conduction also. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you.